I'm continuing my walk through the narrow streets of Palma de Mallorca now, and wanted to give you a shot of this lovely interior courtyard. Palma de Mallorca is also known for many of its interior courtyards that are usually hidden behind these beautiful doors, and there are probably dozens of them. And here, for example, is a little restaurant tucked away. So most of these streets don't really have too many businesses at the bottom, but this one actually does. It has a nice little restaurant that's called Restaurante Aramis. There we go. A little look at the restaurant. So it's one of those towns that's very, very historic. The arrangement of the streets that basically dates back to Arab times. The Moors, or Arabs, dominated Mallorca for about 300 years, from 900, somewhere in the 900s to 1200. And King Jaime of Spain, oh, here's the Alliance Française. Take French courses here. Let's see, here's another one of these courtyards. You can see in here, Zenobia Arquitectura is inside here. So the Moors dominated the south of Spain, mainland Spain, from 711 to 1492 until the Reconquista by the Spanish kings Isabel Católica and I keep forgetting her husband's name, but look, here's a little bar boutique. So there was a lot of, quite a number of centuries of Moorish domination. Not as many centuries here on Mallorca. Only about 300 centuries until King Jaime of Spain reconquered Mallorca for the Spanish crown and took down basically most of what had remained of the mosques and built Catholic churches on top of the mosques. So a lot of fascinating history. Of course, the Phoenicians were here, the Romans were here earlier, the Vandals. Areas here have been inhabited for many thousands of years. There's a lot of rich history here. And one thing is for sure, the Spaniards have always had a great eye for aesthetics. All these narrow little streets. Peluqueria de Caballeros La Paz. That's where men can get a haircut too. Over here we see ensaimadas, pasteleria, panaderia, so pastry and bread shop, but ensaimadas are a very, very typical Mallorcan dish, and I think, do we see some here? They're usually round, but they're much larger than that. People get them in nice packages. Here's some of the other goodies that are baked here. This looks enticing here with the apricots, very nice. See how narrow the streets are? People still drive here. And here's another one of these courtyards. The municipality of Palma de Mallorca actually has guided tours that they offer. Oh, here we go. Here are the ensaimadas. That's how they're usually packaged, in gift boxes. Ensaimadas artesania. So, something was taken down here. So, oh, here is a church. Let's have a look at that. So, the municipality offers, as part of its tourism program, guided tours of Palma de Mallorca, and they offer, I think, 7 or 8 different types of tours, focusing on different aspects of the history of Palma de Mallorca. And very interesting tours. They only cost 10 euros. I might try to catch one a little later this week. Usually the meeting point is 10:30 on one of the main squares of the city. Yeah, we do have a church here. And what's over here? Well, here's a Café Cantoni bar. There we go. And here we have an advertisement for apartments from about 220 square meters with parking. 220 square meters must be about 2,500 square feet or something like that, so they must be quite sizable. Real estate is another interesting topic here because, as I mentioned before, there's a lot of tourism on Mallorca, but not just tourism. A lot of Northern Europeans actually bought properties here over the last 20-30 years, particularly Germans and Brits, and I picked up some real estate magazines where you see various properties for sale, and the prices are astounding. You'd be hard pressed to find anything for under 300,000 euros. Many houses, country houses or villas on the ocean go for 1, 2, 3, 4 million euros. That's a lot of money. So this is not a cheap island. Another thing I noticed, which is quite interesting, I've been doing some shopping in the local supermarkets, and stuff in there is pretty cheap, whether you buy beer, whether you buy seafood, whether you buy wine, bread, meat, all that stuff is pretty cheap. You can pick up some seafood in some cases for less than €1, 1, 2, 3 euros, not very expensive. But when you go to a restaurant, oh my lord, do they ever charge you a lot of money for any seafood dish or anything like that? Cheap dishes, salads in some places 12 euros for a simple salad. Soups for 8 to 12 euros, of course, by the waterfront where the tourists are. And seafood dishes, you won't find anything under 15 euros, probably 20, 30, 35 euros, sometimes 55 euros for lobster. So Mallorca is a very expensive island, I think the most expensive island on the Balearics. But if you actually manage to get an apartment, of which there are many, where you can look after yourself, and you can buy the food in the supermarket, you can actually live very cheaply here. Now, to illustrate what I just told you here, what do we have here? Meat, 20 euros, 21 euros. Dessert, 6 euros, 5 euros. What is this here? Different types of rice. Rice with Mediterranean fish, 21 euros. Honeyed rice stew with baby octopus, 1970. Here we have cold and warm starters, 12 euros, 19, 10, 11, 18, and so forth. So just to illustrate to you, the prices are definitely not cheap. But like I say, there's a way of getting around that if you can cater for yourself. Let me just give you a little look back at this plaza here, since it's so nicely in the sun now. There you go, here's the church that I just walked by.